And I learned at 7 years old that the majority is not always right. And we need to tell our young people that even though the majority are doing bad things, even though the majority is sagging their pants, and even though the majority may not be making good grades in school, they are not right. We need to get these fellows over here who truly have the right hand up, who are truly doing the right things, who are truly following the instruction of their parents, who are truly respecting girls, who are truly doing good grades in school. We need to get them to understand that even though they are not in the majority, they are doing the right thing. You understand that? Give that a clap, my friends. Because there are too many messages that tell our young men, our young boys, to act a certain way. And too many of our young boys are ending up in bad things. And so we as parents, we as community leaders, we as concerned citizens, we gotta support these people right here, because we don't want all of our boys to end up over there doing the wrong things. So let us make up our minds today. Let us embrace our young boys. Let us support our young boys. Let us be good role models. Let us be willing to tell our boys to do the right things. And more importantly, let us do what we can to support our boys, because too many things in society are saying that negative activity is the right thing to do. We need to support our young men, because we want our young men who are doing positive things to be in the majority. Our friends, thank you so much for being here, and more importantly, let us support our young boys. Thank you very much.
Is there any kind of plans for the future that you might have to get the kids more involved in extracurricular activities that are good for them and for positive for the community?
Good question. Thanks so much for that question. So there are three things that are beginning to happen right now. Number one, Fulton County has recreation, parks and recreation centers. Mostly of them are in South Fulton County. So you go out Cascade Road, you got Trammell Park. In South Fulton, you have parks in South Fulton. And the city of Atlanta has parks. So we need to encourage our young boys to go to some of the parks and recreation facilities. My son graduated from Mays High School last May. My son did Little League Baseball at Adams Park up the street. And so we need to encourage our young boys to do sports, to do after-school activities. Also, Fulton County supports a lot of nonprofit organizations that work with youth. And so if you have a pen down, I want you to call this number, 404-612-8206. That's my office number. And we will provide you a list with organizations in Fulton County that work with youth. And so Fulton County has Parks and Recreation. Atlanta has Parks and Recreation. Fulton County also supports programs, supports organizations like the YMCA up here on Campbellton Road. We provide funding for them. And so we have a list of nonprofits, a list of organizations that work with young people, because we got to get our young people, like these young boys and girls, involved in organized activities. So great question, but call my office and we give you a list of organizations that work with our young people.
Go that far down. I know it's right down the street here, almost right there in front of there, for the library. But there needs something right here close in the community, right in this section right in here, and to get our young people more involved with it. Because walking down the street, anything can happen. You follow what I'm saying? So they need something right here in the community, even for our adults, to get more involved with our youth. Because if not, they're gonna do no good.
Well, that's a good point that you're making, Eric. We're doing our best to, we also have the YMCA, we also have the Martin Luther King, not the Martin Luther King, we have a library somewhere in this vicinity, so Fulton County has a library. you know, can we do something right here? I'm here because I want to support the Shamrock Gardens, the nonprofit organization that's here. They're doing this on their own to try to help and support. So I'm lending my support to their effort. And so I'm encouraging them to think in terms of doing some activities here that can help with the children in this community.
Now, if we elect you as our commissioner, will you be willing to make sure that this young generation, kids, our kids, get more involved in what's going on, that you won't just get in the office and
No, Eric, that's what I'm...
Would your door be open that any of these parents are able to come in and talk to you without going through a bunch of red tape?
Sure, I gave you my office number.
Okay, but a lot of times, I'm not trying to make you look bad. A lot of times, our city officials get in the office and they forget about us and tell you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. But after they got in the office, you don't hear nothing else from them, you don't see them no more. Will you be willing even to work or to come out in the community to see what's going on?
Well, I go out to the community all along. I hear you loud and clear, Eric. There's a school called the Fulton Leadership Academy that's in East Point, maybe about 10 miles from here. I adopted the entire 9th grade class of that school. We provide leadership training. These are 9th graders on a twice-a-month basis. And I offered to take 62 kids. And of the 62 kids who are in the 9th grade of this school, 35 of them volunteered, and I'm taking them to Mexico for 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's
all right, and I'm raising money for that.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one example of the things that I do to try to help our young people. And this is an all-boys school in East Point, because our boys are a challenged part of our community. And so that's something I'm doing personally and showing my investment to support them. Yes.
I'm going to intervene here for just a second. I know this is going to be really challenging. We all want to talk with the chairman. What I'd like to do here, everyone, is I want to introduce our other leaders to here so that the chairman can recognize them, and then let our moderator have one question before chairman has to go. So I see President McGaha here from Atlanta Metropolitan State College. Thank you, sir. Is anyone here from Councilman Andre Dickens' office? Acknowledge Ali Carter with Post 3 at Large, Andre Dickens' office. We have anybody here with James Byrd's organization, Mr. James Byrd, Right Way, Wrong Way organization, incorporated. So these are some of our speakers you will be hearing from just a little bit later on in the program. But right now, I'd like to let our moderator, Mr. James Ziegler, who many of you know is the operations manager here at Shamrock Gardens, to get one great question in with the chairman before he has to go.
Well, hello everybody, good evening. Listen, Chairman Eaves said something earlier, and I want to make sure, and he said the right thing, but this thing is not even about just Shamrock Gardens apartments. We're just hosting it, and we're piggybacking off what you're already doing, Chairman Eaves. But we have the same concern, and everybody out here has this concern about our youth today. And Chairman Eaves, because you have to go real quick, we're trying to find a solution. Because if, you know, we've been to some of the forums and a lot of people talk about what's going on out there, and I'll just tell you the truth, even before he leaves, like we have rules even out here on our property that kids can't carry guns, any kind of guns, play guns or whatever, because it sends the wrong message. So y'all see this gun and you say, okay, everybody can tell that's a play gun. But then you see this gun, Chairman Eaves, that other kids carry, and then they paint this black. And then they start sticking up people and holding them up. But then you'll see something like this. This gun looks like the same gun that the policemen in the back are carrying right now. This looks like a Glock. It also has a clip to it. It'll pop, just like everything else. And this is nothing but a pellet gun. But it's just as dangerous. And we've taken this off of kids, not adults. We've taken, and it's a lot of them, if y'all want to see them later, we've taken guns, and we've taken bandanas, and if y'all take a look here, this is not a little bit of bandanas, this is a bandana off of each one of the people, and we have lots more, because we're trying to stop this. We're trying to see what is the solution that the city is trying to come up with, not just the action of talking about it and keep keep talking about what's going on, how are we going to like fix it? Not put a Band-Aid on it, but sew it up, stitch it. Are there going to be new laws that won't allow us to give somebody a trespass at 1 o'clock from our property, and then at 4 o'clock, they're back out there at the same, doing the same thing? Now, of course, none of us want to see our kids go to jail. That's not what we're trying to do. That's not the problem. But how do we get stiffer penalties for kids where their parents are just not watching them and monitoring?
Great question. So government, Fulton County, City of Atlanta, State of Georgia, we can do a whole lot of things. But ultimately, it's a responsibility of parents. I'm a parent, I work, I'm busy, but ultimately when I go home, I need to make sure that I teach my children right and wrong.
Right.
And when they make mistakes, I'm the one that's going to be embarrassed. I told my son when he went to Morehouse College as a freshman back in August, I said, son, I want you to make good grades. I want you to have fun. I want you to go get a girlfriend over at Spelman College. Let me tell you one thing, don't you embarrass me.
Don't embarrass me.
And so we as parents, to me, that's what we need to do. We as parents have to step up and do what our responsibility is in terms of spending time with our children. Too many fathers are not involved in the lives of their children. When you especially look at the black community, 70% of the families are run by females. So we can't just look at government to come with the solution.
Correct.
Ultimately, parents have to take on the responsibility for their children. So the message to me is we need to encourage you, push all of us to understand our role as parents.
Out with a
Thank you very much.
But the underlying cause of causes is, and where does the gang threat for youth specifically come into play in the big picture of our youth crime problem? You know, how big of a problem is the gang problem here? Because some people don't think it's that big, but I know that it is. And these bandanas and these guns are proof of that. So is what we're experiencing here on Campbellton Road area specific just to us, or is this everywhere in Atlanta?
Well, sir, the gang issues are not located only here on Campbellton Road. Okay, so there's gang issues, and a lot of it comes from what Chairman Eaves mentioned. It's the parents being involved, the parents giving guidance to their children and giving them support, and ultimately, the structure so that they're not turning to the gangs in order to feel, that they're accomplishing something or that they're a part of something. They have to be part of their family first. And so the bottom line is, the parents have to be there for the children, and ultimately the children need to listen to their parents, that type of thing. So it goes both ways. In the COPS unit, at this point, we're trying to reach out into the schools and trying to work with the kids and or establishing a program where the officers will be mentors to some of the children that may be having a little bit of difficulty, because we don't want to arrest children unnecessarily. We don't want to create that, and we really want to give them every chance to be successful and help them be successful, as Chairman Eaves said. So we've started a program called Operation 180. It's starting in the New Carver cluster and at Crim High School and some of the schools in that cluster. So that's something that's just in its infancy, and I'm sure it'll get a lot bigger here as we move into September and the new school year next year. But we're working at that. Ultimately, we want to help the children be successful. So, in terms of the gang problem, it can really, the best help is for neighbors and for parents and for people to be supportive of the child and to encourage them to do the right things and make them accountable for those things. Hold them accountable, make sure that, hey, they're not doing the right thing, make the corrective adjustment in terms of their behavior. Tell them, hey, you're not doing something right. Let them know they're doing something wrong, and be a caring and concerned neighbor.
And Major Brian, I know you can probably answer, like, what do we do about these gang problems and these kids, and where do we contact you, and how do we know that something's going to be done? How do we fix this problem?
Okay. Good evening. I'm Rodney Bryan. I'm the Zone 4 Commander. And to address your question as it relates to what we see with youth joining gangs, youth tend to join gangs for a number of different reasons. Some of them are for protection. Do we have I must admit that I don't know the specifics on the statistics as it relates to it. However, what we can do is to continue to truly be involved with our kids and have an open dialogue and communication with them. When we find that they are joining gangs or we are aware of gang activities, by all means, get in touch with the Atlanta Police Department. We come out and investigate every gang incident that may occur. Quite often, I was just talking to a officer earlier as it relates to a gang issue, and they were talking about the different things, the different bandanas, the different dyes in the hair, the different clothes that they attire that these kids were wearing. And my first question to them is, well, what does the parent say about dyeing the hair? How does a parent allow their child to come out with these different clothes? But if you don't know, we will come out and educate you on these different things. We have initiatives where our gang officers go into the schools and try and educate the teachers. But we will be glad to come out to communities as well and educate them on what they need to look for as it relates to gang activity.
Well, Major Bryant, and that's good. And y'all ought to give them a hand because they said they'll come out and do it. If I ain't down with what you're doing and we ain't partnering, it's not called snitching, it's trying to get it straight. That's what I think it is. It ain't called snitching, and we got to get out of the mentality of being scared. And I think that's one of the biggest things about calling the police. But I'm glad that he said one thing, because we want to have more things where the police can come out and give us information about what to look for and what numbers to call without us having to feel like we're snitching and somebody's going to find out what happened. Because I was looking in the paper the other day and it's saying that crime statistics are down. Is that right?
That is correct.
Well, it's saying it's down, but gangs are getting worse, and I saw 3 different things in there about the gangs getting worse, and I don't know if, do you think crime is going to go up?
Well, let me explain what because different people identify gangs differently. What we see, what we recognize to be a gang in the city of Atlanta is a little bit different than what you may have known to be in Chicago, LA. Those type of gangs are well established and well rooted, have been there for years. What we tend to see in Atlanta is a greater transition of gangs, whereas young people grow up in a community, live near each other, and evolve into what they call a gang. Well, the problem what we'll see is that same group will change names next week, and now they're a whole nother gang. And we're tracking each and every one of those different type gangs. So it does appear that we have a number of gangs, but what we generally have is one gang changing names 2 and 3 times.
Right.
We also do have a situation where one gang may evolve into another gang. But we do not see the same level of gang activity that you see in the north and on the west coast. But again, we continue to monitor every issue as it relates to a gang. We come out and we continue to monitor those.
Ran out, right? This one got caught. And when we got him, we told him the only way we can let him go is if his mother came to get him. Well, we called her, she wouldn't come. So we didn't arrest him, we CT'd him, and we got his iPad. And when we looked through his iPad, the scariest thing, of course he had guns all through there, different pictures, but he had a picture of about maybe 150 guys that were like 17 and younger, all dressed in red, all spread out in some bushes throwing up gang signs. It was like the most disturbing thing that I had seen in quite a while. So I don't know if y'all having problems in other areas or if y'all know anything about gangs, but even some issues in this neighborhood. If y'all have some questions now for the police officers, just raise your hand and we'll let you answer them.
It doesn't matter how many times you ask the question of why gangs are existent. It all comes back down to if parents don't provide structure and discipline inside of their household, there's no way you can expect a child to go out in the real world and show something they have not been taught. So no matter how many times you ask the question, there's no real answer. but as far as inside of the home.
We agree. We agree.
Initiative where he was targeting return felons from the prison system, and I think he said that the problem, they were trying to put an incentive for employees to hire young men, since we targeting young men, to be able to be gainfully employed when they return from prison. Most of these young boys, most of them, their daddies are convicted felons, a lot of them. A lot of their fathers are convicted felons. So I want to talk to the commissioner, but he had to go. But if we don't try, I'm just saying, we have to try to, along with President Obama with the minimum wage initiative, $10 an hour, we have to try to create an environment for because of the high recidivism. They said the recidivism rate is up to like 90%, something like that. So this is my point. If we don't try to get these young men gainfully employed, I know some of them, my professor tells me all the time, some of them don't want no job, but some of them do. And I think we should try hard to support the governor in trying to create adequate employment opportunities for these young men coming back from prison.
And to have
Well, thank you
other
for that.
strong and positive options and opportunities for our youth, that we invited him to be here with us tonight. And that is why we're so excited that he is with us tonight, bringing many of the student advisors as well as students from Atlanta Metropolitan State College. He's going to have the opportunity now to speak with us, so let's give a big shout out for President Gary McGaha.
Thank you so very much. I am delighted to be with you. Atlanta Metropolitan State College is a part of this community, and we're in this with you, and we're certainly committed to trying to help you. Let me just say, one of the best things that we can do is make sure they're well educated.
Yes, sir.
And we've expanded what Atlanta Metropolitan State College provides in terms of our hours of operation and the way that we enroll people in school. You actually can go to Atlanta Metro 7 days a week, from 6 a.m. in the morning until 10:45 at night. Unlike many schools that close at 5:30 or 6, we open up with an evening college at 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. We don't close until 10:45 at night. And we have classes all day Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 2 until 6. This is done to try and help people get in school. And we also have multiple start times. That is, we have more than a traditional 15-week semester. We have a 15-week, a 12-week, a 10-week, 2 7.5s, and a 5. So whatever you want to do, however you want to go to school, we can make that happen. We are concerned about the youth as well. And we have organizations on campus that can provide advisors and support and tutors as well to help students with homework and things like that. We simply need to understand how you would like to have it organized, and we can provide support with it. The other thing I'll say is that Atlanta Metro has changed. It's no longer just a 2-year college. The name was changed from Atlanta Metropolitan College to Atlanta Metropolitan State College, offering the baccalaureate degree. And we are planted in this community. We have a campaign called Connect the College to the Community, and we're in it with you. So however we can help, we'd love to be able to do so. If I can be of assistance, let me give you a number. Just call the office like everybody else, and we'll help. That's 404-756-4440. That's 404-756-4440. That's my office, and someone answers it at all times. So let me know how I can help. Again, it's good to be with you. I see some of our students here with the paraphernalia on, the t-shirts and so forth, and we're very proud of them, and we'd like to help any way that we possibly can. Thank you so much.
Y'all give Dr. McGaha a hand, please. I'm just tired of it in this neighborhood, in which most of us are, and we want to get this fixed. And so Carrie went out of her way to get some things done, and she got all these people on this program. Can y'all give Carrie Williams a hand, please? She works here on our staff as a resident service programmer where she puts things like this together so that the community can come together, and different things like we've had things in our office where they were paying people's electricity bill, their gas bill, not Shamrock, but we just held it here because we wanted to do something in the neighborhood. And it was about 200 people came through here and got their bills paid. And we just want things like that for our neighborhood. We want this neighborhood to be nice, like this fresh air and a nice night. So, Carrie, can you announce our next speaker, please?
Yes, sir, it's my pleasure. You know, not many people can tell their personal story and then live the commitment out of their personal story like Mr. James Byrd can. He's a gang expert, a motivational speaker, and he's founded Right Way, Wrong Way. It's an organization to help young people find their way the right way. Mr. Byrd is also a strong faith and community leader, and he has committed himself to us here at Shamrock to make the difference that we all want to see for our neighborhood and for our youth. And he is here, ready to roll up his sleeves for us and our youth. Please welcome Mr. James Byrd.
Good afternoon, and how y'all doing? I'll be brief, straight to the point, and I certainly don't want to waste anybody's time. I want to, first of all, thank Ms. Williams, Mr. Ziegler for asking me to be here, and thank y'all for coming. Because what I do for a living is we assist ex-offenders in making the transition from prison and jail back to society. It's a process that we refer to as habilitate, not rehabilitate. Because I think that if you rehabilitate, then you restore to the condition or mindset you were in prior to the commission of the offense. But to habilitate is to make fit for functioning in society, and that's what we do. I've actually got some of the guys who are in my program that are here right now. Y'all raise your hand over there. They've been through the system, been able to get them out, but what we have to concentrate on is the youth. Because if we don't target our youth, then they represent our future, and without a future, then there's no more of us. When I first was contacted by Ms. Williams and I met Mr. Ziegler, my question to him was, is this one of them feel-good meetings? Because you've all been to them where everybody come and everybody talks a good game and nothing gets done. So I asked him, I said, are you prepared to put a Band-Aid on a cut that needs stitches, or are you really prepared to sew the cut up? And based upon what I see here today, that they have made the commitment to sew it up. But it can't be done without the input and the assistance of the parents. Y'all have got to understand that you've got to reach these young African-American boys now. I work in the system. What I see every day is tomorrow morning, Fulton County Juvenile Court will be a bunch of young, single mothers trying to save their sons. The system is a monster. Now, how can I say that? I want y'all to think about these numbers and listen to me carefully. Think about 7,326 days. Think about 241 months. Think about 1,081 weeks, 10,417,800 minutes, and over 6 billion seconds. Because that's how long I was a prisoner at Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola. That's 20 years and 16 days. I grew up Southwest Atlanta. Some of you all may know me as Jimmy Byrd, first black quarterback at Southwest High School. Back in the day, I could play. That's when I had hair. Them changed a little bit. But my point is this, that you have got to get involved in the lives of these youth because the system is swallowing us up. This is not personal about me because I've truly been blessed with my church, Salem Bible Church, the support of my pastors, Jasper Williams, Pastor Joe. They took a vested interest in me. I've been out of prison 10 years now. I ain't going back. Okay? And I'm an example that for every man here who has a felony, if you have the drive, if you have the determination, and if you have the discipline to make something of yourself despite having made a mistake, because we all fall down. But the point is, are you going to get back up? So once again, thank you all for being here. I'm certainly willing to answer any questions that you may have. Right way, wrong way, that's what we do. On the preventive side, we keep these young boys out the system. On the end side, we get them back out, and through a process of rehabilitation, you can get a job. Atlanta Technical College is just fantastic in terms of the opportunities that you provide for young men coming out to get them a marketable skill, somewhere they can earn a living. Mothers, all you single moms, it's on you. You've got to get involved in the lives of your sons. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Good evening, everyone. I'm Officer House from the Atlanta Police Department's gang unit. The gang unit is responsible for tracking, monitoring, deterring, preventing gang violence and actions and all that kind of stuff in this community and in every other community in the city. The thing about gangs is that they're here, they're there, but we can deter it if we can stop allowing our youth to join them, to get involved in it. If we become nosy parents again, getting back into people's information, monitoring what our children are doing. I won't blame it on rap music. I won't blame it on the community you grow up in. It's a choice, and we've got to change the way that they're making the choices and the decisions that they're making. In this pamphlet that I have here, I'll actually pass these out if you'd like one. We created a pamphlet that goes through, tells you why children join gangs, some of the signs to look for if you wanted to know if they're in a gang. We have plenty of those that we can pass out. I'll be standing here to the side if you have any specific gang questions. If you have some in a second, I'll answer those questions. If it's an ongoing investigation or something that's happening, I won't be able to answer those questions. But if there's anything else that we can help you with, all of our information is listed here, and as I said, I'll be standing right here to the side.
Thank you. Ms. Williams invited me out today. I missed my ice cream to be out here, so it was worth it. Now, one thing, I'm an ex-felon, and I didn't let it hold me back as well. But I did have a family that really supported me when I got out, because a lot of these things, like this gentleman right here with the gangs, didn't exist. My brother, he went to college, he became a police officer. And so one of the things about me growing up in a poor neighborhood, being an African-American male, is that we only heard bad things about the police. Then we hear things now about the prison industrial complex. And so through my brother, I was able to realize firsthand that police are good people, decent people, but it generally seems like the ones that we find out about in the community is like the one bad apple that keeps coming around, and we don't feel good about going to police about anything. So is there anything that you can do as police officers to make yourself more personally available to be in an outreach with the kids so they know that there's really good police officers out there like you?
We actually do have several programs through the police department, and then there are other agencies that we partner with. In the police department, we have the Police Athletic League. We also have the Explorers and the Cadets program that we, the gang unit, partner with most times. That when we find somebody in the neighborhood who we can try to deter, pull them out of what they're in, then what we do is we'll get them with those two units. If not in that case, then some of the officers actually teach what's called the Gang Resistance and Education class inside of the Atlanta Public Schools. And so the officers on their time go inside the school, take a block of instruction, and teach the great classes. And in those great classes, it's about decision making, choosing the right friends. I do those types of things, and sometimes with some of the pastors and rabbis, even imams in some of the communities, we'll go in and we'll introduce that family to that religious organization, and then let the two of them partner together if it is that they don't want to be with the police. Because they're, just face it, some people don't want to be around the police at all, to be honest. And so in that instance, we have a program where we'll partner with religious organizations, some business communities, some of the Greek fraternities. We partner with some of them, and they become mentors and things like that with us for some of the youth. All the while, they're making the initial connection, we're there, and so they don't see us in the light as the bad guy that's taking them away all the time. So that's some of the things that we do.
Comment and a question, and my comment is, well, to everyone, because I work for Atlanta Public Schools, and I just challenge parents to take some time out of the school year just to visit your child's school. You have no idea what your presence does when you're on the inside of the schoolhouse. The children from the neighborhood and everybody's going to see you, and they're just different children when their parents in the building. But my question is, I have children and we have a very open line of communication. So they tell me and we talk about everything. So they aren't afraid to tell their mom when they see something that's going on that's not right, because they know the difference between right and wrong. But what can we do as parents and overseers and people in the neighborhood to help heal the snitches get stitches?
That stigma that snitches get stitches. Well, number one, it comes back to the parent, first of all, encouraging that open line of communication, and I applaud you for having that open line of communication and that dialogue with your children. But we have to get back to the place where the children don't see us afraid to tell what's going on in our community, because they're picking it up from what they're seeing inside the house. And so if they think first and foremost that if we tell this is going to happen, somebody's got to take the stand, and even in our homes say, you know what, I don't want the shooting around the house, I don't want all that kind of stuff. So we've got to tell the first role model that they're going to have is going to come from behind that door where they live. And if we, the parents, stand back up and take responsibility for our communities, then the children are going to follow suit and do the same thing that we're doing. That's the only iota of advice I have on that, is that if the parents are standing up and doing it, then the kids are going to follow suit. If we know that this is what we do, we stand up for where we live and what we believe in.